Hi, I'm Robyn Saxberg from Edgycat Media in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. And today is International Women's Day, which is a day to celebrate women and gender diverse people. But it is also a day for activism and to remind ourselves and each other that there is still a lot of work to be done. So what is stand outside the static? Well, let me start by saying that I am not an expert on gender equity and inclusion. I am one single person with a platform, and I choose to use that platform to say something meaningful to support a cause that I believe in. I am an ally with strong principles and a sense of duty to make my position clear. The term DEI is politically charged because while we can agree that we should all be treated fairly and with respect and dignity, we can't seem to agree on what that actually means. So Stand Outside the Static is an online movement to connect decision makers to organizations, to businesses, and to all individuals across Canada, the US, and across to our transatlantic partners in Europe, regardless of industry, region, platform, mandate, funding streams, areas of expertise, and gender. SOS is an online movement to connect everyone to the conversation and to let those who need it know that you are not alone. I want to empower Canadians to be true to your support for inclusion when you're standing at the polls. I know that there is fear about merging your personal values and principles with your professional identity. There's fear of loss of income, of online trolls, and fear of blowback from your community. I've certainly felt this in the past. But the truth is, I don't want clients who don't support inclusion. I don't want to provide my marketing services for organizations who don't treat all of their employees with respect and dignity. So I choose not to be afraid. I am one single person, and I choose to help expand the conversation between all people and to rise above the static of identity politics, whose right-wing decision makers have the sole intention of segregation and division. Because when we allow ourselves to be focused on judgment and on tearing down the efforts of others because their efforts might not be perfect, we allow ourselves to be participants of that division. But there is strength in numbers, and so I'm asking you to speak out with me. I believe that all humans have the ability to speak and to live with compassion and acceptance, and that we should strive every day to be a little bit better than we were yesterday. But at the base of it, when our own physical well-being and our sense of safety and security are at stake, humans will always resort back to our basic hierarchy of needs, which forces us into survival mode. And all over the world, we are being conditioned to live our entire lives in survival mode. I worked briefly for a nonprofit whose mandate was to support marginalized women and gender diverse people in Northwestern Ontario who have been affected by incarceration. Now, I have never considered myself to be a marginalized or an oppressed person, but I have faced significant barriers because of my gender and my disability. Though my contract was only 12 months, my time there really opened my eyes to the struggles beyond my own, and it helped me to articulate and refine my own values and principles. And the work and the relationships that I built there helped me to allow myself to feel and to stand by my principles. And it gave me the confidence to, for the first time, speak freely. Suddenly it was like a veil had been lifted. And then when my contract was up and the US started rolling back their progressive policies, my time at the nonprofit also gave me the confidence to say, hey, actually, you know what? I don't need to be under somebody else's umbrella to continue this work. I don't need to be afraid to speak out. I have the words, I have the skills, and I have a platform. And you know what? You do too. Ontario has just elected another Conservative government, and our next federal election is on the horizon. So while 76% of Canadians are in support of inclusion, that support is not trickling down to the polls. Why? Because when people are faced with the fear of not being able to put food on their table or pay their bills, and now looming threats of war from the US, it's natural for us to focus on fulfilling our basic needs and to draw our attention away from helping others. This is what we're being conditioned to do throughout our lives. And social media bears a large portion of the responsibility for this, which is why I consider socially conscious social media a core value for Edgycat Media. Because we are seeing multiple generations of people all over the world facing the same mental health crisis. That is not a coincidence. And it is due in part to the exacerbation of consumerism and harmful rhetoric encouraged by major players like Meta and X and Amazon. We've very recently been learning just how good hateful people and organizations still are at unifying. So the hashtag SOS movement is calling for you to disengage from these organizations in favor of other social platforms like Blue Sky and Signal, which is a nonprofit, and show those who seek to harm that we can unify too. We have to start thinking about gender equity and inclusion as basic human needs because it truly comes down to the safety and security of all people. We need to rise above the questioning of the need to keep talking about it, above identity politics, and above hateful people saying that the conversation is boring and ineffective. I went to a fundraiser this week that was in support of a local women's shelter, and I was reminded of a quote that I love from Maya Angelou, who said, "She will rise with a spine of steel and a roar like thunder. She will rise." And we only truly rise when we rise together. Across platforms, across regions, across financial streams, and across all manners of people, to unify and to ultimately bring support of diversity and inclusion to our core needs at the polls. Here are my questions for you today, and I invite you to comment on the video with your thoughts and opinions and ideas. Number 1, do you think that hate is winning? And if so, or if not, why? Number 2, how can we work together with conservative governments across Canada to maintain their existing policies on inclusion and gender equity and maybe even increase them? Number 3, how can we get conservative leaders and decision makers to acknowledge DEI as a basic, unwavering pillar of social justice and equality? Is that even possible? Are we just going to go around in circles with this forever? And lastly, stand outside the static is my idea. What are your ideas on how to break the cycle of sensationalized identity politics? Thank you for watching. If you would like more information or would like to view our sources and statistics, we've provided some links in the video description, and there is more information on the Edgycat Media campaigns page of our website. I invite you again to comment on this video with your thoughts and opinions and ideas, and please like and subscribe to the Edgycat Media channel to stay up to date on our content. I'm Robyn Saxberg from Edgycat Media in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. This is Stand Outside the Static on International Women's Day, and I hope that you all have a wonderful and empowered day. Thank you again.